Hello everyone and welcome to Cleanerwatt. As you know, I'm a big fan of Tesla and Tesla's electric vehicles. And they have done amazing things in the electric vehicle industry. And really, Tesla is responsible for the electric vehicle adoption rates that we're seeing right now globally. They've done amazing things pioneering electric vehicles. However, while they may still currently be the global leader when it comes to battery electric vehicle sales, BYD is actually catching up quite quickly with Tesla. And in fact, right now in China, BYD actually sells more electric vehicles than Tesla. So because of that, I think it's important that we examine BYD's growth versus Tesla. And then I also want to talk about when BYD might catch Tesla and what this means for Tesla. So let's dive into the details. Despite being lower than expectations, Tesla once again had a record-breaking year in 2022 when it came to both production and deliveries. They surpassed, for instance, 1.3 million deliveries worldwide in 2022, which was 40% better than 2021. Now, when it comes to what Tesla's growth has looked like over the last several years, you can see that from 2017 to 2018, Tesla grew sales over 130%. From 2018 to 2019, around 50%, then 36%, 87%, and then of course the most recent growth, 40%. Now, one of the big catalysts for Tesla's growth in recent history has been their factory in Shanghai, China. That factory has ramped up quite nicely, and according to Tesla right now, they have the ability to build over 750,000 electric vehicles per year, and I definitely see that number going up to 1 million in the near future. Now, when it comes to how well Tesla is doing in China, they've done quite well, and that factory, of course, has done well, but BYD actually currently sells more battery electric vehicles than Tesla, and I believe this is just the beginning because I believe this could happen globally soon, as we'll talk about. For instance, in the first quarter of 2022, BYD sold 32% more battery electric vehicles than Tesla. In the second quarter of 2022, they beat Tesla by 102%. In the third quarter of 2022, they beat Tesla by 114%. And while I don't know how many vehicles Tesla sold in the fourth quarter of 2022 in China, it does seem very likely that BYD also sold more than them with their 329,000 plus battery electric vehicles sold in that quarter. Now, obviously, we're talking about BYD's home market of China, but nonetheless, this is not a new or recent trend because I pulled up past data from cnevpost.com, and as you can see, even in the first quarter of 2020, BYD was selling more battery electric vehicles in China than Tesla. And if you look at the cumulative total from the first quarter of 2020 through the third quarter of 2022, you can see that BYD in that time span has sold 33% more battery electric vehicles than Tesla. Now, to be clear, BYD also manufactures plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, but these numbers that I'm talking about here are for their battery electric vehicle sales only. This does not include their plug-in hybrid vehicles. So these are true apples to apples comparison, and BYD is doing a great job ramping up, and specifically in their home market when it comes to total sales, they're dominating Tesla right now. Now, when we move beyond BYD's home market of China and we talk about global battery electric vehicle sales, BYD has been growing even faster than Tesla, and Tesla has been going incredibly quickly. But even globally, BYD is doing some impressive things. For instance, I pulled up data from Inside EVs, 3 different articles, and in 2020, BYD sold almost 131,000 battery electric vehicles, and that grew to over 320,000 in 2021. And then in 2022, that number increased to over 911,000 battery electric vehicles. If you add plug-in hybrids to that mix, you can see that BYD sold over 1.8 million EVs in 2022. So as you can see, BYD is catching up with Tesla very quickly, even globally, and they're growing so fast. It's just hard to believe how fast BYD is growing right now. So from 2021 to 2022, BYD grew their battery electric vehicle sales almost threefold. That's incredible growth. With this kind of growth projectile, can BYD surpass Tesla globally in global battery electric vehicle sales in 2023? I think it's definitely possible. First of all, let's take a look at what Tesla has planned for the future. Over the last several investors conference calls, Elon Musk has made it very clear that he sees Tesla growing on average 50% year over year when it comes to deliveries. As Elon Musk reiterated in the Q3 2022 conference call, there may be some years when Tesla grows at a slower rate than this, and there may be some years that Tesla grows at a greater rate than this, but he still sees the average being somewhere around 50%. In addition, Elon Musk said on Twitter a while back that he sees Tesla growing to somewhere around 20 million vehicles per year, a rate of selling 20 million vehicles per year by or around 2030. Now, when it comes to the growth rate that Tesla will need in order to get to 20 million vehicle sales by 2030, you can see that even if they stick with going forward a growth rate of around 41% on average, that would still get them to a point where they're delivering over 20 million vehicles in 2030. Now, whether or not that'll actually happen, that's of course a whole other conversation that I don't want to have right now. But nonetheless, they are aiming for big things. Now, of course, there are some factors in the near term that could limit Tesla's growth in 2023. For instance, the economy. There are issues with the EV tax credit situation where a lot of Tesla's vehicles are not going to qualify for that tax credit. There's an issue there for sure. And when you combine this all together, there definitely are some pressures that could go against Tesla right now. But I believe Tesla will still increase sales quite substantially in 2023 because I believe Tesla has the ability to pull some demand levers. And one of those big demand levers is the ability to adjust pricing. I've covered this in the past, but in a Twitter Spaces chat on December 22nd that was recorded by Halter Ferguson Financial on YouTube, Elon Musk talked about with rising interest rates in an uncertain economy, if demand goes down, he mentioned there might be a need to adjust prices downward. And in his words, quote, "My bias would be say like, okay, let's grow as fast as we can without putting the company at risk, which would mean profits would be low to negative during a recession, provided the cash position is okay." Now, of course, Tesla has quite a bit of cash on hand right now. And in addition, they have incredible margins when it comes to their vehicles right now. For instance, according to the Q3 2022 conference call, in that quarter, they had 27.9% GAAP automotive gross margin. This means unlike many automakers, and I haven't looked at BYD's gross margins, but unlike legacy autos, specifically the ones here in America, Tesla has more room than most to be able to adjust prices and still maintain profitable on their vehicles. This gives Tesla a huge advantage over much of the competition. This was just demonstrated with Tesla dropping vehicle prices substantially in China to help stimulate demand. But nonetheless, even if Tesla grows at 40 or 50% in 2023, which is definitely possible, Tesla can do incredible things even in a tough environment. Nonetheless, I think there's a great chance that BYD could actually grow quicker than that. And I think it's very possible, once again, they could surpass Tesla in battery electric vehicle sales globally in 2023. And here are some reasons why. In this July 2022 Inside EVs article, it was mentioned, according to a CNEV Post article, that BYD might soon be producing 300,000 plug-in cars per month. In addition, it was reported, though based on unofficial sources, that BYD may have had a backlog at that time of somewhere around 700,000 units. Now, of course, it's one thing to have a lot of orders, but BYD is growing their factory capacity very quickly to be able to meet that demand. And according to this article, in July of 2022, BYD apparently had 6 manufacturing plants in China. And at that time, they were building 3 more production bases. Moving forward to a September 2022 Inside EVs article, referencing data from that article that we just talked about, that July article, Mark Kane once again says in this article, in 2023, the company would like to sell, talking about BYD, at least 4 million units, according to the article. Now, of course, these numbers that we're talking about, this 4 million units in 2023, that includes plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. But BYD, as we mentioned, they grew their battery electric vehicle sales almost threefold from 2021 to 2022. So I don't think it'd be totally absurd if BYD doubled their battery electric vehicle sales in 2023, for instance, going from that 900 and some thousand to over 1.8 million battery electric vehicle sales in 2023. That's definitely possible based on what I can see here. Of course, I don't know the future and I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but it at least looks like the potential is there. Now, of course, for BYD to be able to double their battery electric vehicle sales in 2023, that's going to require a lot of batteries. but it appears like BYD actually has a lot of in-house manufacturing capacity, and that number should be growing quite quickly in the near future. For instance, according to this November 24th, 2022 Electrive article, quote, BYD already has over 20 battery plants in China, according to analysts, and by the end of 2021 had the capacity for a total of 135 gigawatt hours per year. BYD battery production capacity is expected to rise to 285 gigawatt hours by the end of this year and 445 gigawatt hours next year. Now, when it comes to Tesla's battery supply, they of course buy a lot of batteries from outside suppliers right now, and they also have Panasonic manufacturing at their Gigafactory in Nevada. They have them manufacturing somewhere around 36 to 39 gigawatt hours of 2170 batteries per year. And then of course they're ramping up their in-house 4680 production. However, the 4680 battery production ramp has been much slower than they would have hoped. And while in 2020 they were aiming for around 100 gigawatt hours of batteries being built in 2022, of course 2022 passed and they hit a run rate of around 4 gigawatt hours per year. So quite low compared to what they're aiming for. Now, I believe in the long term, Tesla will ramp up the 4680 battery, and that will be a game-changing technology for them when it comes to manufacturability and battery supply. But when it comes to the near-term 2023 growth, they're going to be reliant on outside suppliers quite a bit. And there is a lot of demand right now for batteries globally from other auto manufacturers. So that could limit their 2023 growth just a little bit. And since BYD has a lot more in-house battery capacity, that could give BYD a distinct advantage here when it comes to near-term growth. Now, of course, Tesla may also purchase batteries from BYD, as has been rumored in the past, but that hasn't been officially confirmed, and we don't know if that's going to happen for sure. Now, to be clear here, I'm not trying to take away from what Tesla has done. They've done impressive things, and this doesn't mean that Tesla is not incredible, and it doesn't mean that they're not going to continue to grow and be profitable and be a market leader in electric vehicles and battery electric vehicles. But nonetheless, I can't ignore what BYD is doing, and the signs all point to the fact that BYD could surpass Tesla in the future. That's not a bad thing at the end of the day. We need more manufacturers, especially companies like BYD that can manufacture a lot of electric vehicles, especially battery electric vehicles. And at the end of the day, BYD and Tesla are not enemies. And there's plenty of room in the electric vehicle market for both of these companies. It's really legacy auto that's in trouble. This is not going to hurt Tesla in the long run. There's plenty of room in the market for Tesla. There's plenty of room in the market for BYD. And I believe both of these companies can thrive in a global environment. Now, with that being said, I want to move over quickly and talk a little bit about some of BYD's most popular battery electric vehicles and quickly compare that to Tesla's vehicles. And just kind of a quick side-by-side comparison to see one of the reasons why BYD's vehicles are selling so well. According to Inside EVs, BYD's best-selling electric vehicles as of 2022 were their Han family of vehicles, the Yuan, and also the Dolphin. Their Han EV, as you can see here, is a great-looking sedan, and it actually is quite compelling at a pretty decent price. When you compare this to the newly adjusted prices of the Model 3 in China, you can see that the starting price for the Han is very similar to the Model 3, but the Han offers a bit more range according to the CLTC cycle. When it comes to a size comparison, the Han EV is also a little bit bigger than the Model 3. So the Han EV has a pretty good price, it has a pretty good amount of range, and it looks good on the outside in my opinion, and the interior looks very nice as well. However, when it comes to charging speeds, the Model 3 clearly outshines the Han EV by a pretty good margin. In addition, the Model 3 also outperforms the Han EV when it comes to performance, but nonetheless, the performance version of the Han EV is definitely quite quick, still going from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in as little as 3.9 seconds. In another comparison, BYD has a compact SUV called the Yuan Plus that is also named the Atto 3 in some markets, and that vehicle, while it does have less range than the Model Y, it is offered at a very low price point that, even with Tesla's newly adjusted prices, is quite a bit lower than the Model Y in China. Now, do note that the Model Y is a bit bigger of a vehicle, but nonetheless, while the Model Y may be superior in many ways over this vehicle, BYD seems to have a very compelling vehicle with this Yuan Plus, or Atto 3, whatever you want to call it. One more BYD battery electric vehicle that I want to highlight is the very affordable Dolphin, which was recently launched in China. and it actually is being offered at a very good price. And as you can see, if you convert Chinese currency over to the US dollar, this is a very affordable vehicle, starting at an equivalent price less than 17,000 US dollars. Now, when it comes to how Tesla is going to address this compact EV market, we do know that there is a new platform coming in which they hope to sell an electric vehicle that's going to be in a cheaper price point. I don't know how low of a price that's going to be. But we did have a confirmation in a recent press release from Tesla where they talked about at their investor day in March of 2023 that they're going to talk about their new Generation 3 platform, which of course is the platform on which this affordable EV from Tesla should be built. But nonetheless, I don't expect that we'll see that vehicle hit production until, say, maybe at the earliest 2024, 2025. And Tesla has other big important things to worry about right now, like, say, manufacturing the Cybertruck, which hopefully official production for that vehicle will start sometime in 2023. And I expect that the Cybertruck will sell extremely well, especially in the United States, because we are a big truck market here. And Ford, Ram, Chevrolet, etc., they sell a lot of trucks. So that's a large market, and I believe that will help Tesla quite a bit. But it's unclear, since there's a lot of new technologies with the way Tesla is building the Cybertruck, it's unclear how long it'll take Tesla to ramp that up. It may take a little bit, and that's just how things are. Even the best manufacturer, somebody like Tesla, who has a lot of experience now manufacturing electric vehicles, it still is probably going to take a while for them to work out all the kinks with the Cybertruck. So in conclusion, once again, I'm actually really glad to see a company like BYD ramping up their battery electric vehicle production and ramping up battery production as well. I think it's really impressive what BYD is doing. At the end of the day, it doesn't hurt Tesla that BYD is doing well. And as I talked about earlier, I believe there's plenty of room in the electric vehicle market, and we need more electric vehicle manufacturers like BYD globally. And there is plenty of room for both companies to succeed. At the end of the day, it's not Tesla who should be worried by BYD, it's Legacy Auto that should be worried, because if BYD does hit the US market at some point in the future, companies like GM and Ford, I believe, will be the ones that are hit the hardest, and not necessarily Tesla, because they have some very compelling EVs that have sold extremely well, and I believe they will continue to. Do let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, I'd like to once again thank the Patreon supporters who support me every month and help make these videos possible. If you'd like to find out more about how you can support my work in the Patreon community I've set up, I'll put a link in the video description. Thank you so much.